What's going on there, B&H and social media world? Thank you for having me, B&H. Thank you, Alan. Thank you for having me. So today, pretty much going to go over some of the stuff that I usually do. We're going to go into some technical stuff as well, like lighting and a little bit about posing. But in the last maybe year or so, I kind of really changed up more my format and how I shoot and how I capture my clients. For me, we're going to be really talking about relationships during this, I guess, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And I just want you guys to take at least 1 or 2 things and apply it to your arsenal. And this is some of the stuff that I do that works for me. It might work a little bit different for you, but let's move forward, okay? So obviously the title states what? Any takers? Yes, get one shot. How we used to do it in the film days, mentally, you want to shoot for it. And also to make more money. Thank you, Westcott, again. I'm also one of the Westcott Top Pros. I'm honored to be part of the team. And any kind of questions regarding Westcott, you got to ask that guy right over there. Dave, he can answer anything possible regarding technical stuff. So this is a quote I've actually found that I pretty much, I really go by it because at the end of the day, you have to make impact in some way or another. So infuse your life with action. Don't wait for it to make it happen. Make it happen. Make your own future. Make your own hope. Make your own love. And whatever beliefs, honor your creator, not by passively waiting for grace to come down from upon high. By doing what you can, make the grace happen. Yourself, right now, right down here on earth. So for me, what that really means is you have to make it happen. You can't just wait for it to happen for you. You can't just wait for clients to come and knocking on your door. I feel like these days that just because you create amazing, beautiful photographs and you're big on social media, you just expect clients to come to you. For me personally, I'm not that active on social media, which I have to start being, but for me, I like to create a really good experience for my clients. So obviously, like anyone else, everyone has a history and how they got into the business. So for me, I'm first generation American. My family's from Colombia. And so I grew up in Brooklyn. We got some Brooklyn lights here, yeah, Brooklyn, all right. So we have some Brooklyn lights here. So so pretty much in school, it was really hard for me because I had a learning disability. Like everyone else, everyone's smart in something, everyone's talented in something, and everyone has their weaknesses. So for me, it was really reading and writing and also speaking. So later on, I found out that I was more of a visual learner. Thank God, because this is pretty much my career, visual. So I started taking a lot of tutoring classes, and I just started slowly learning faster by looking at pictures. And thank God for YouTube, when it started coming out, it started helping me even more. So educating myself. When I used to go to the library, before really YouTube and Google, I used to go to the library all the time. So I used to always pick books that had some kind of photographs in it to help me correspond in what I'm learning. It's no different from today. So, family business. I got into the business when I was very young. I was about 13 and a half years old through my family business. It's from my uncle and his partner, which it's Infinity Photography from Brooklyn, New York. And they were very big into weddings and portraits, more of the luxury clients. So I was kind of a little bit spoiled because I really got into the business learning the trade from the bottom and up. So a lot of my duties was watching bags, making sure nothing got robbed. And this is during the film days, so medium format, Hasselblad. From there, they taught me how to really organize things. So if you're running a business, having organization skills plays a very big part, especially when it comes to following up with clients, paying your taxes, so on and so on and so on. Later on, after shooting a couple of great jobs, weddings and portraits, I kind of got burnt out like everyone else from doing weddings and portraiture. And my uncle from South America, I have another uncle, he was a big time commercial photographer, and he's like, why don't you just come down and stay for a few weeks with me and you can see what we really do. So all he did was shoot clothing campaigns. So imagine a 16-year-old kid like myself at that time, going through puberty, all right, seeing lingerie models. So for me, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. That was amazing for me at that moment in time. And when I started seeing my uncle photograph the models and the clothing stuff with the lighting that I was using, and how it just popped up on the screens, I instantly fell in love with lighting. And that's what I knew, that I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do for pretty much for my rest of my life. So I started to train more of my uncle in South America. I went back a few times just to learn more from him, and also I started applying a lot of it when I came back to New York. Like everyone else, everyone gets excited. They want to buy equipment. How many of you guys are gearheads? Yes, yeah, everyone's a gearhead. I still am to this day. I think I have more bags than anything else. Thanks, Think Tank. So I have so many bags. So obviously when you have all this equipment, it's great, but at the end of the day, you can have all this equipment, but if you're not producing anything unique or different, then what's the point of having it? So the thing I had to do was slow it down. I know the word slow it down. If many that know who I am as a person, they pretty much know I'm very quick. I speak very quickly. I move very quickly. I'm very hyper. So slowing down is still like what's it called? Like it's still like a detour in my life. It's still an obstacle because it's hard for me to slow it down. So I started applying a lot of that commercial look to the wedding photography. And by me not slowing down, I started making a lot of mistakes. When I say a lot of mistakes, was like going on a job, shooting only hard light towards grandma. Imagine photographing an old elderly lady with hard light. So imagine how much I'm bringing out more of those shadows from her, more of those wrinkles. So I made a lot of mistakes, and it cost me a lot of time and money retouching those photographs. So making mistakes actually helped me a lot, and obviously using the guidance from my uncle and the rest of the team. So for me, using hard light was a good thing and also a bad thing. One, it helped me understand how to use it. So I ended up focusing more on so instead of really focusing on the gear, all right, I started making more mistakes on just building on my ego. Like everyone else, everyone has an ego sometimes in their career. So for me, all I cared about was creating this epic image or epic photograph. And instead of listening to my clients, I started losing business because of it. So that was a lesson learned, because like anything else, if we're going to do this full time, you have to make sure you pay attention to your clients. So staying on path. Like anyone else, everyone gets into the business and they just don't know what they want to do. Whether it's they want to do weddings, corporate, commercial work, family shots, boudoir. There's so many different categories in this industry. So what did I do? I literally did it all, because you have to find out what works for you. So for me, I enjoy doing many different things. I love doing weddings. I do maybe for myself, I do no more than 12 weddings a year. I used to do anywhere between 80 to 100 weddings a year at the time when I was really photographing nonstop during the weekdays and weekends. And then slowly I started getting into corporate work and also commercial work and family portraits, which these days I feel like I enjoy more doing family portraits and also headshots. So the question is, why don't I just focus on one thing? I get bored very easily, beyond. So for me, in order to stay current, I like to be on my toes. There's different opportunities for me to make money. And I'll elaborate how I make money later on, because it's going to be a little bit more of a business course than anything else, and how I do things. So I can't focus on one thing, and the reason why, because I'm very passionate about people. I love people. I love getting to know who they are. I love to get to know what's their story. How did they come to this country? Or, where were they raised up? And because of that, it helps me think outside the box. It helps me get to know the client a lot more. So I'm passionate about creating something different for my clients. How many times have you met a client that like, wow, you know what? They want a typical headshot, they want a typical marketing kit, but it looks like everyone else. So this shot over here, it's a behind the scenes shot that I just recently went to Hawaii. I also did a wedding out there, but I also booked a marketing shoot as well for a yoga instructor and also a life coach. So she wanted a typical headshot like everyone else, but I told her, you know what, let's do something a little bit different. Let's do something that could stand out from the rest. So how can we do that? Obviously, getting to know the client. So this is actually behind the scenes, and I'll show you a little bit more. Yes, that is the EOS R with a 7200 that pretty much almost got damaged again. So imagine, going the extra mile instead of shooting in studio, shooting in it at her home. I'm like, you know what? Let's go on location and do something very different. So now she can actually use this photograph for her social media marketing. And this is actually the shot that we created. All right. So I have some of the settings below. It's a shutter speed 400 at f9, ISO 100. We shot with the EOS R Canon. And that was a shot. I think we probably took maybe 3 to maybe 5 shots max, and that was a shot, and that was really it. And this was actually shot all available light. Of course, I cannot put a strobe, even though if I wanted to, it would be pretty hard to do so. So I took advantage of the lighting. I also took advantage of the waves. And the reason why I took advantage of the waves is when light reflects, it reflects off of things. So obviously when the sun comes down, it hits the waves, it's gonna kick more light into her face. So I end up using the waves as a reflector, so to kick it up. So it was pretty much the worst time in the day to photograph. It was maybe about 1 o'clock, midday. And that was the shot. So she was very happy with it. She loved it. She loved thinking outside the box. And the best part about it, she ended up recommending me 3 other clients because I was willing to take time to get to know her and also her business. So what does this have to do with the film days, shoot less, and make more money? Show me the money, right? Who knows Jerry Maguire? Who's seen that movie? Show me the money, baby, right? Everyone wants to make money. Of course I do. So how does money come to you? Any takers? Building relationships. And that's one thing I know I do very well. I'm not the best photographer out there. I'm the best photographer for that special individual, for my clientele. So this is actually shot, a little history on this shot. It was actually shot at Photo Plus. It was just using one light, camera right as a hair light, where you see the young lady's left hand is coming from the back, and the light from the left is just all available light. So you can actually look at the photograph, look for the shadows. You can actually tell where the lighting is coming from. And that was the shot, nothing crazy. Understanding people, companies, and their wants. I think this one thing is that I think is very important for many, which I'm gonna elaborate more, is understand who you're working with will play a very big part. This shot was actually shot about a week ago. It was in the city, and it was for a private Marilyn Monroe event, which was very cool. And the reason why it was very cool, they actually had the original cars that she was in, that she used to ride in, and also the original dresses that she wore. And this was shot outside for the technical guys out there, or ladies. It's a 80th f11, ISO 640. Now the question is, why am I shooting this at f11? Any takers? Anyone out there? Why? So f11, I like to shoot, I barely like to shoot wide open, and the reason why, because I want to keep everything as much as possible sharp. The client is actually hiring me to capture the location, capturing what's going on. So I want to make sure the cars are in focus, and also they spend a lot of money on those murals on top of Marilyn Monroe. So I want to make sure within that distance, everything's focused. Plus, they're printing out these photographs as well for their hallway decor. So building relationships, creating an alliance. That's the right word I like to use all the time, because alliances will play a very big part in your career. That's how, for my career, about 90% of my clientele is word of referral. I don't advertise on any kind of magazine, any kind of Wedding Wire. I don't advertise, I don't purchase anything on social media, Facebook. It's all about word of referral. So for me, my business has been very successful because of that. So building the rapport with a client. Obviously getting to know your couple, getting to know the firm that you're working with, your friends, the vendors. How many of you guys shoot events over here? All right, so there's a couple, all right. Question for you, when you go on location, do you photograph, obviously you photograph, let's say the wedding, the bride and groom, do you also shoot for the venue? Okay, why? I'll put you on the spot.
Vendor relationships are huge, relationships.
Yes, so as John said, vendor relationships is very important, Because yes, the bride and groom are gonna recommend you, but now you have another avenue for another person to recommend you, now the venue. So I'm gonna elaborate a little bit on that as well. So vendors could be event planner, it could be the venue, it could be a production team. When I say production team, it could be a corporate event. And a lot of these corporate events, there's a production team that really helps create this, the whole feeling behind on what they do, just like the Marilyn Monroe event. Local, for me, local businesses are very important. So for example, there's actually near where I live, there's a local Massage Envy. There's other small businesses that they could actually recommend you. And you could do a pro bono. Maybe you could give them a gift certificate and they could give to one of their high-end clientele that spends a lot of money on them. That's another way of recommending. And I'll elaborate a little bit more on that later on. Building a partnership. So these days, is whether it's a local business, whether it's a venue, whether it's a bride and groom, whether it's a headshot, for me, it's building a partnership with them. For me, it's very important to do that because if, like anything else, if you have a partner in your business, you guys want each other to grow. You want the business to grow. So for me, understanding who I'm working with plays a very big part. So creating the photographs, like for example, headshots. I get clients that come in sometimes, you know what, Will, I really want to do a headshot, something quick, 5 minutes, nothing crazy. How many of you guys get that? Quick shot, quick shot. It's like, no, it's not a quick shot. I wish it was a quick shot. But taking it to a different level is taking the time to really get to know them. Again, I keep saying it, I'm gonna elaborate a little bit. Making the venue location stand out from the rest. Same thing, shooting for the location, shooting where if you photograph, let's say, the bride and groom at that venue, a cool wide angle shot in front of the place or a cool wide angle shot with the fountain, you send them off that photograph, they're gonna share it on their social media with your logo, they'll give you credit, and it's another avenue for you to get a recommendation. The photograph on the right, this is actually it's actually the real Marilyn Monroe chair, which was very cool. And it was shot shutter speed 125 at f/18. Any takers why f/18? Look at the photograph. So that image all the way in the back where Marilyn is, it's about 30 feet away from that chair. And there's two logos there. So I wanted to make sure I captured Marilyn Monroe. I want to capture the client, all right, and also Marilyn Monroe. And for me to get that, I had to shoot a f/18. If not, if I would have shot wide open, let's say 2.8, the only thing will be focused will be Marilyn Monroe. So again, shooting for the client will play a very big part because I got these shots, all right, and they ended up showcasing on their social media, showcasing to their clients, and they were really impressed because they wouldn't see any these kind of shots from anyone else. They actually did have a PR photographer there, and of course that PR photographer, all she shot was 2.8, 1.2, because she wanted to pick up all the ambient lighting. The problem was that she was missing a lot of logo shots. So photographing for the brands will play a very big part. So for me, if a corporate client hires me, I'm always making sure I'm capturing the logos in some way, all right? So building the partnership as well, again, capturing the outfit, dress company. One thing that I work with Bridal Reflections a lot, and they're based out of New York City and also Long Island, and one thing that I always hear from them, they really want to showcase the detail. There's a lot of photographers I see that they shoot, but they add the actions or they blow out the detail. Now it's a typical white dress blown out. So for me, capturing those details will play a very big part, especially when they showcase it to their clients on their social media. So when a client comes in, I always find out what is the vendor that they're using for the dress company. And I also reach out to them and I find out what they're looking for to help them sell the dress. So I'll shoot for the dress. So I'm shooting for the product. Helping that one person discover their inner beauty. Like anyone else, sometimes, people get lost. People, they get sad. They lose their way in life. And these days, I feel like I'm photographing more of these clients. It's more as an empowerment shoot. So taking the time to really help them discover who they really are as a person leads into many different referrals. Photographing a family. Families, I starting to love photographing families more in the last 2 years. I also created another business. It's called The Best Expressions, and that's just strictly focusing on family sessions and also pet photography. And it pretty much reminds them just how special their family truly is. And the thing is, we're starting to do a lot with our families. Is we're creating wall art, something that just they every day when they get home, they could look at the wall and say like, "Wow, that's the family that After all this busyness, after all the stuff I do, I work my butt off. This is why I work for. This is why I work my butt off." So these days, creating wall art for me is very important. So you could shoot all you want, but if you're not printing the product or you're not showing your clients wall art, then what's the point of what you're doing instead of getting social media likes? So what I look for in clients, one of the biggest things is try and connect. I always try to connect with someone in some way or another. So when a client usually walks into the office or when I walk into their corporate office, I always try to read them, using intuition. So in other words is if the person is really hyper, I get to that level. If the person is very calm and slow, I slowly walk to the person in that way and I'll speak to them nice and slow until I start building that trust and that foundation. Because at the end of the day, my true colors will always come out and my hyperness will always come out. And I'm like a little ball of fire. I love to showcase, I love to bring positive energy in every corner of the world. Another thing is see what they're looking for. Everyone has a different vision. Again, we're talking about our clients. We're not talking about our egos. We're not talking about, let's photograph for a print competition and let's get an award for that, in which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just from my clients, I want to make sure I capture them because at the end of the day, they're going to recommend and they're going to pay me what I want. So I want to know where I could help them in some way or another, whether it's a business, family, or build more of a bond. Going back to it. What is the secret sauce? Any takers? Any takers out there? Secret sauce? Maybe? The secret sauce is listening. How many of you guys have listening issues? Because I have listening problems sometimes. I get distracted. I get very distracted. If you guys ever see me in photo walks or speaking on stage or any other conferences, if something's distracting me, I'm like, squirrel. My mind goes someplace completely elsewhere. So listening is very difficult for me, but I've been getting a lot better. So listening to your client, pay attention not only to the story, but how it's told. So take that in for a second. The client's vision. So we're talking about a person, a couple. We're not talking about business. We're not talking about a firm. We're not talking about a location. So understanding the tone of their voice. And when I say that, you could tell when someone's either hurting, you could tell they're excited, and find out what they're trying to say. So like for example, John and I could be having a conversation about something, I don't know, about life, enjoying the last conference, and it was great. I could speak into, what's your name? Michael. Did you go to Photo Plus? No, it's okay. All right, where are you from, Michael? Belgium. This guy came all the way from Belgium for this. No, he didn't. I'm sure he did. So I could have a similar conversation, but his tone of voice might be completely different. John could be having the happiest day in his life, and this other person I'm speaking to might not. So understanding the tone of voice will play a part. So play dumb. Your interpretation of a word could be completely different from what that person is. So for example, remind me your name? Sophie. Yep. Sophie. So Sophie, so let's say we have a client that comes in and say, you know what, Sophie, you're a portrait photographer, right? Sophie, I want a sexy shoot. So let's say I'm the client. I want a sexy shoot, Sophie. How do you interpret that? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, I would think about like my vision of sexy, and I'm gonna be thinking like what lingerie would. I mean, if you would.
She said she would be thinking what kind of lingerie I'll be wearing. Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't typically do that.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm thinking of a girl
Okay.
as a model, and I would think of a place that I would feel sexy in.
Okay.
So yeah.
So what if I told you, let's say, you know what, my sexy is not interpreted as in lingerie. Maybe my sexy is kind of like, me wrapped up in a blanket, or me, being really dressed up, really elegant and classy. So you see how two interpretations play very differently? So understanding that plays a very big role. And I just started learning this maybe about 1.5 to 2 years ago. Like I said, everything's very fresh and new. So creating this presentation, I gotta admit, I changed the presentation a few times because my workflow and my business has changed dramatically in the last 1.5 years. So I want to give you guys what's been working out for me. So playing dumb is, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by sexy? What are you envisioning for your photo shoot? So that's how I usually ask. So like, okay, when you use the word sexy, what does it exactly mean? What is the vision behind it? Because now you're actually taking the time to really realize it. Like, what is their vision? So now it'll help you create the shots that they need. Because obviously, if you capture what they want, what's going to happen?
They're gonna recommend you.
They're going to recommend you. And when they recommend you, get more business. Or better yet, they might buy more from you. And that's always the goal, for my client to buy more. So clients with vision, as a company or a vendor, understanding their want, it's no different from one person or a couple that you're speaking to. So when I say understanding what they want is, obviously every company is different. So let's use, for example, all right, for example, one of our clients that we just photographed for Dior, they wanted like a typical shots with really simple lighting, hair light, main light, nothing crazy, but they wanted to just tell a story on the makeup. And the idea behind the makeup was there's a story behind on the artist and let me backtrack. The event was a private event, and they got artists all around the U.S. to come in for this private event. So each artist, makeup artist, had one model, and from the model that they had to pretty much bring out their own story in their life, in their journey, and apply it towards their face. So every artist that used did a cool makeup on their face, there was a story behind it. So the company wanted us to pretty much shoot everything in a regular white background and capture different emotions behind it. So when the artist came in, I wanted to find out, all right, what is the story? You have about 30 seconds to break it down because I need to photograph another 100 makeup artists and models. So every person that came in and told me the quick story, I had to kind of photograph it in that way without changing any kind of lighting. So bringing out the emotion played a very big part. So that's what the client really wanted. So again, who they're looking to target? What was the vision behind it? So it was more about inspiration. So we had to capture that. Pretty much feeling what they were trying to portray and the end goal. The end goal was to capture all these amazing shots, use it for a catalog for their internal team, and inspire other artists within their internal team. So here's a little video that we did at the Versace mansion. It was for a jewelry company. So Versace mansion is in Miami. That's me being lazy, sitting down. There you go. So it was more about the jewelry. Of course, you have this Versace mansion. You want to capture the location, the scenery, where you are. Obviously, the pool is very iconic. So I wanted to capture more of that, but also get a couple of cool close-in shots. So for some of these shots, majority of my style, I love to capture more wide-angle shots. When you shoot wide-angle, it's because you want to capture more of the environment. So as you saw the behind the scenes, we ended up using this softbox over here. Not softbox. It's deep umbrella. The one I had was a 43. This is a 53-inch one. And I'm gonna talk about exactly when I travel with this, because this is actually one of my primary umbrellas I travel with, and I'll tell you why. So get inspired. John, what's your inspiration? What do you do? Yeah, I mean, obviously you came over here. I mean, you wanted to learn. You opened my. What do you look for different inspirations besides going to in-person and photo walk or a workshop like this? Do you look at books? Do you look at movies? What is?
I'm a big lighting guy, so I'm inspired by movies, how scenes are lit. I look at magazine ads and jewelry ads, fragrance ads. They're big inspirations for me.
Nice, Sophie.
I use Pinterest to basically get into the mood of what I'm going to shoot
Okay.
and explore everything related to that, like how different people did different stuff, like related to the mood I'm looking for, and basically note like what I like and what I would like to recreate and what I would like to change,
Okay.
and yeah, go for that.
Nice. So Pinterest. What about you?
Non-applicable. I don't work in this field.
You don't work in this field.
I don't get inspiration for this kind of
No. So what about life? What do you, I'm sure there's
What about
quotes.
Yeah, it's the light of the day, the moment of the day.
The moment of the day. So there's always some kind of inspiration.
Beautiful things happening around.
Exactly.
It all depends on the moment.
Nice. So he dragged you out to be over here right now?
No, actually.
No?
We don't know each other.
Oh, you don't? Oh, you guys look like you know each other. Cool. Well, thanks for being here. So there's this inspiration everywhere. So it doesn't have to be strictly in photography. It could be anything. So for me, it's magazines, books, Google, YouTube. Like I told you, I'm a very visual person. So looking at shows, like if you guys ever seen The Handmaid's Tale, and the reason why I like The Handmaid's Tale, yes, it's been dragging on for a while, this show, but it's how the color tones of the video and what they show, which I'm gonna show you later on. Color tones is everything for me. So for example, when it's raining outside, if you look at any kind of movie show, when it rains outside, when the scene is sad, what happens to the scene? It goes a little bit blue, right? Goes a little bit more moody, right? But when it's a happy scene, what happens? It's warmer. It's warmer tones. It's more red. So looking at these kind of shows inspires me to photograph certain things. And also, this is where color temperature gels come in play, which I'll show you later on how I use it. Another thing is Victoria's Secret. Who loves going to Victoria's Secret? I do, So there she does. So I love going to Victoria's Secret. Yes, amazing. Yeah, they have some nice outfits for the ladies. But I also like going there because it's cool to see some of the big prints. You get to see how the models are actually shot and what they're wearing and why were they photographing that way and what kind of f-stop were they shooting and so on and so on. So I'm always looking at stuff like that. Looking at the clothing in general, looking at magazines, looking at clothing campaigns, seeing the feeling, the tone of the shot, the shadows, and seeing why was it shot in that way. So I'm always quizzing myself. There's a big difference between practicing. Practicing is, which I learned this a few days ago, my wife, because I always say I'm practicing. Realistically, I'm not practicing, I'm studying sometimes. When you're practicing, you're actually doing it. So I could be at home, or I could be on the train, or I could be in traffic. I'm constantly looking at light. I'm looking at shadows to see, what, if I want to go put a person there, what would I shoot it at? Why would I photograph it? Would I want to shoot it wide open, or would I want to shoot it closed down? So I'm always studying light in some way or another. No different from right now. Obviously the light is pointing towards this way because you want the attention to be towards me. But if we turn on all the lights completely, your attention span goes everywhere. So I'm always looking for stuff like that. And another thing that I also do, I also assist. I have other friends in the industry that are commercial photographers, the videographers. I like to see what they're doing. If I'm constantly shooting, that's great. Yes, you're learning, but if you're not assisting, then you don't know, what are different formats out there. Like I was just speaking to my friend Vanessa Joy. I told her the other day for dinner, I'm like, I'll send you some dates. Let me know if I could come and hold your light, or I be a coffee boy, because there's always something to learn. So that's one thing I always do a lot is assist, learn, be open-minded, because realistically, I don't know it all. I really don't. I'm trying to learn. Every day I'm trying to teach myself different things. Fueling, recharging your soul. How many of you guys have done a personal project for yourself? Sophie, when was the last time you done something for yourself?
Actually trying to do it now. And then,
All right, all right.
And it keeps like escaping every time.
Why is it escaping?
Because the models I choose, for some reason, every time disappear.
You know what's funny? And correct me if I'm wrong. How many times you could be working your butt off like crazy, and people reaching out to you, I want to work with you, let me know what day I'll be there. Doesn't matter what time of the day, where, the location. Then the time that you actually say, hey, you know what? Let's schedule this date. Let's do a shoot. It's on me. You don't have to pay for anything. They disappear.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So it seems like I'm not the only one. John, you get that sometimes? Yeah. I don't know what it is, but yeah. So when you do that to me, you're blacklisted. Sorry, social media world, that's how it is. But these days, actually, I do speak to agencies. I do work with agencies, so it's a working relationship. So I really don't have those issues anymore. And this is what I mean exactly. If you want to work with agencies and you want to make sure there's a model and a makeup, a hair crew and whole 9 yards, is building that alliance, building a group together. And I'm going to show you an example in a few on how I do that. So guaranteed you have your model and your makeup artist there, okay? And you don't have to take out any money out of your own pocket. You shouldn't be paying models. So let's put it this way. I'm a little bit more traditional. So setting up personal projects, it's a key factor for me. I try to set up at least 2 to 4 dates out of the year for myself to do a major project. And when I say major, it's not like, hey, I'm going to shoot in the studio. I'll look at dates, I'll look at locations, and I'll see, you know what, I'm going to fly out to Texas, or I'm going to fly out to Hawaii, I'm going to fly out to London to do a shoot. Like, why? That's crazy. Now you're spending money. But you know what? I'm at the level that, I want to see the world more, and I want to capture the surroundings, and I want to capture something completely different. So that's something more for me. That's more fueling my blood, my soul. So on the second part is treat it like it's a campaign shoot. When I say campaign shoot, treat it like it's a paid shoot. So you have to lock in the day, no matter what the case. Just lock it in. Whether the model shows up or not, you have to do it. And I'm sorry that I hate when that happens. But once you think of it in that way, treat it like it's a scenario, it's a paid shoot, then that's it. You're locked in. So it gives you no choice. You have to do it. So a vision board. Who does vision boards or mood boards? Okay, cool. So a vision board is pretty much, you're creating a whole scene. So it's kind of like a draft. So what I do on my vision board is always the location where I possibly want to shoot, or the styling idea. So it could work hand to hand. Maybe the bridal company, say Bridal Reflections, want to really incorporate this cool dress or cool evening wear. So then it'll be styling first, then the location, because they have to play a part. I can't put an evening outfit into like an urban location unless they're looking for that look. 9 out of 10 times, they're not looking for that look. They want like a cool Cipriani's, Plaza Hotel, elegant feel to it. So from there, I create a shot list. So when I shot list is, what are they looking for? Are they looking detailed shots of the back of the dress? They're looking a piece of the front, of the jewelry. So by me doing all this and having this in order, it saves me from missing those shots, 2, shooting less, all right, and 3, executing what the client wants or your personal project. Color palettes, something that I brought up before about the color tones. For the people out there, I just found this about 2 months ago. My uncle actually sent it to me from South America. It's on IG. It's a great way, if you guys don't understand color, you could definitely go to this site and you get to see all the color tones in it. And this actually plays a very big part in a lot of shoots, a lot of campaign shoots, movies, shows, and it helps you start thinking outside the box more. Instead of just shooting camera right, camera left, lighting, and that's it. Now you're taking your photography to a whole different level. And for me, I'm always trying to push myself. Do I know color very well? No, but I'm trying to. So create the mood sheet or the vision board. Pretty much it helps not only you, but also your team and your client understand your vision. All right, so now it's not like, hey, you know what? No, I told you this. No, I told you that. No, you said something else. It's always some kind of headache that goes back and forth. So since I've been applying this, and the reason why I started applying this is that I went on a commercial shoot, I think when I was like 18, 17, I think, in Soho, and I saw this crazy vision board. It was insane. I've seen vision boards, but never in that caliber. And I was like, I gotta start doing this for all my shoots. And I do this for my bride and groom clients, and also my venue clients. It just saves a lot of headache and time. Plus, there's less shooting, as I stated. So this is a shoot that I did for Funday Designer. It's a company based out of Portland. It helps me really design our albums and wall art really quickly and efficiently. So this is actually screenshots from the storyboard. This is actually, I think, 4 or 5 pages, but I took a couple of screenshots. So I never been to Portland. So what I wanted to do is kind of get understanding in who they were as a company. And I did a lot of research on it. And I never been to this place. I never been to Portland. And so I found all these photographs on Google Earth, Google Images, and I started pasting them onto the site. So when they got the link, they knew what we were about to do. So this vision board pretty much stated exactly the meeting time, about 5:30 p.m. What time was the session? At 6 p.m. Realistically, they showed up around 6:30. So it's always like that. The meeting place, the location, so there was no misunderstanding. So the question I was asked, because I travel a lot internationally for work, is like, Will, how do you get to those locations? How do you know what time of the day, the lighting is gonna come up or come down? And there's a lot of apps out there. This is one of the apps that I use. This actually shows you exactly what time is sunrise, sunset. So back in the day, I used to bring a lot of equipment. When I say a lot of equipment, a lot of equipment. I think we had to have at least 5 team members, and they were filled with Pelican cases. I mean, it was like over, I think, close to $800 to $900 just in one-way trips for shipping the items out on the planes. So these days I try to travel very compact. So I use that a lot. So I work around the lighting. So I also sent them this. This is actually one of the shots, I think it was from forgot what magazine. And I sent them that. I sent them another shot because they're like a very fun company. So I wanted to showcase that as well. A couple of jumping shots. And this is actually one of the shots. I think this was shot about maybe 4 years ago. So yeah, it's nothing crazy, but they kind of knew what they're going to be doing. Yes, we could analyze this image and critique the crap out of it. There's a pole coming out of the guy's head. Realistically, the day before, the ship wasn't even there. So we have to make it work sometimes. Yes, the final image, we retouched that out, but this actually helped create the mood board. They knew what they were about to get themselves into, especially when they were late. So comparing it, so you saw the shots. So this shoot literally took no more than maybe, I'd say 8 minutes to 10 minutes. And these were the quick shots that we did. So here's another mood sheet version board that we did, vision board. And this is actually a 616 that we were contracted to go to Miami. This was done, Joey, it was a couple of weeks ago, right? It was like a month ago. So yeah, a month and a half ago. So the dad, and actually the dad was actually, he's a very good friend of mine, and he wanted something very different, but he wanted the experience in what we give our clients. So again, he flew us out the whole 9 yards, but I kind of gave him the bug in his ear, like, let's do something different. Instead of doing a New York shoot, let's do something in Miami. She's into art, into location. So I did a couple of screenshots, the same idea, what time it was. And this is actually the behind the scenes. This is all shot with I think one of the gimbals. Nothing crazy, nothing. It was so hot that day. Woof. So looking for shade was a key factor. Yes, that is a dumpster. So wherever there's good light, I try to take advantage of. So this was for her 16 shoot. They wanted to make a cool video and cool photographs for their party. So imagine the entrance video. I forgot to put that in the. Should have put that in the presentation, but. So yeah, these are a couple of shots that we took. I mean, obviously there's a lot more, but these are the ones that really represent who she is as a person. So yeah, so these are the shots. Nothing crazy, but taking advantage of locations and lighting. So here's another mood sheet that we did as well. It was for a job out in San Antonio with Brighter Reflections. They wanted something very different. So I'm like, let's do different. What can we do that's different? Instead of doing the same New York thing, industrial. So I was like, you know what, let me look at locations. So one of the best things about going to these conferences, you get to meet amazingly talented people. And sometimes you become really good friends. So about almost 3.5, 4 years ago, I met a really sweet person. Her name is Jennifer, and we became really good friends. And she lives out in San Antonio. Going through her social media feed, I ended up seeing some cool locations where she shot. So I told her, listen, I want to do this cool project. I'm working with the company. Can you help me set it up? And she did. She helped me get the permits. She helped me find the locations. And this is another reason why it's always good to, it's great to watch YouTube and social media and live and all, but it's one thing about going to conferences. You get to meet amazing people in person and build relationships. It's another way to build an alliance, a partnership. So the location, same thing. We had the models already that we had in mind. Yes, they were contracted, so no one will flake out at the last minute. Models had their own notes, ideas, and this is actually one of the BTS of that we did. And keep in mind, it was like the worst time of day to shoot. Of course, even though we had permits, something got lost in translation, and instead of photographing exactly at 9 o'clock in the morning, we ended up shooting about 12 to 1 o'clock midday, which, as you could tell, look at the lighting, how harsh the lighting is. Look where the lighting is, the stands. I have lights hitting everywhere. Very hot day. I think it was like, what, it was 105 degrees, 102? It was horrible, horrible, and I hate to sweat. So this is actually one of the shots we took. This was actually kind of cool because I was one of the very few in the US that got to shoot with it on location, meaning I had the EOS R before you couldn't even read the RAW file, which was very, very cool. And yeah, so that was one of the shots. This is pretty much it. Huh? This is in San Antonio, in Texas. So yeah, so look at the light. Look how harsh those arches is, the shadows, the worst time of the day. So this was actually shot with hard lighting. And again, you can see the shutter speed was 250 at f16, ISO 50. Again, I rarely shoot wide open. I love to capture all the detail. I love to showcase that. That's more my style of shooting. Everyone's style is shooting different, but this is more my style. If you guys never shot, f16, f11, or f22, try it. Once you get your bread and butter shots, try and shoot something like that, and you see a completely different look. So the lens that I was used for this was shot with 11 to 24. It's a Canon EF lens. Yeah. So the only thing is you got to be very careful where you position the subject because you could easily distort them. But this lens was really meant for architectural photography. So, but I love to use it in a lot of my portraits, on location, wedding stuff. I love to distort things. I love to put the dress near the distortion area so it makes everything really more dramatic, which I love. So a majority of the stuff that you're seeing is I'd say about 90% of it is all in camera. I rarely do any kind of post-production. I know, it's bad, I know. But for me, I come a little bit more from a traditional aspect. There's nothing wrong about doing Photoshop. It's just, for me, I personally want to spend the time with my clients and giving them a great experience. This is actually one of the other shots that we did. For me, I'm always looking for leading lines, and I'll elaborate more on that. But I wanted to capture really the location where we were, the production behind it. I think the only post that really did to this photograph was we took away some of the blue from the sky because the blue was overpowering the subject. So I wanted the attention to go more towards her. So this is actually the behind the scenes shot. If you go on my social media, I've been trying to post more BTS and what we do. So yeah, that's actually a switch box. That's actually the Octa M. And shutter, bless you. We shot the shutter speed 200 at f16, ISO 50. And the reason why I like to shoot low ISOs is I kind of think of it this way. When you're about to paint something, I'm sure some of you guys painted out there, whether you were a kid or painting your home. Red bucket with red paint, you put it on there, you start painting, it's very vibrant, but when you start spreading it, what happens? It's less vibrant. So lower the ISO for me, I like, and plus there's a little bit more of, I get to bring out my shadows a lot easier. Other photographers and entrepreneurs. So I'm not only learning just from photographers, I'm also learning from other people out there. It could be real estate photographers, or it could be real estate educators. It could be business courses. I'm always trying to learn something from somewhere. As long as it's visual or I can listen and take it in, I'm learning it. So, it's. I think we're in the world to this day that there's so many avenues for you to learn. I think it's a little overwhelming sometimes. So finding that path where you want to learn and focus on. So right now I'm really trying to focus more on business and creating that experience for my clients. And for me, that's really my focus in the last year and a half. So creating that. And these are actually some of the people I really admire within the industry. Actually, I really have to update that. But yeah. This shot on the far right, it's actually shot at Photo Plus. This is actually using the FJ400, which is the new strobe from Westcott. Very happy with it. I'm honored that I was one of the very few that got to test it out, and I was in their marketing material, which is really, really cool. I'll show you a little presentation later on when I shoot with it. Forgive me, I'm not that comfortable with it yet because I really don't have it at home yet. So once I get it, I'll be very quick and I'll show you how to use it. But this is outside of Photo Plus. It's understanding, looking for locations, how to use it to take advantage of busy backgrounds, or how to look for leading lines, and also composition. That was actually one of the, I think it was for Canon USA photo walk. So why do I use for certain gear? Either Octa or a deep umbrella. As you saw some of the BTS, some of the stuff I like to use the Octa, sometimes I like to use umbrella, sometimes I like to use hard light, and that all plays a factor in where I'm traveling to. Usually when I travel these days, I try to be as compact as possible, and when I say travel, I travel a lot. So I used to love traveling with the Westcott Octa M. Great, I love it, it's durable. I mean, any company out there wants me to test out the equipment, I'll beat the beep out of it. That's one thing I'm very hard on, is in my equipment. I know everyone likes to protect their gear. For me, it's like, all right, it is what it is. But let me tell you something. Canon, the amount of times I dropped this body is so bad. It's very durable. So I only broke it once. So, but it's been through hell. So when I travel, I usually like to travel with this, with the deep umbrella. The reason why, it's very well made, durable. If anyone knows anything about Westcott, their customer service is just phenomenal. I was using it before I became part of the team, when I was 16 years old, 15 or so. And since then, I still have some of the equipment that it's still lasted to this day. So I like to use the silver. I like to have a little bit more of a punch to my photographs if I do a little bit more without the diffuser. If I have to soften up the light, then I incorporate this diffuser. It's very compact and it's flat, so I could definitely put it right in my backpack. This is not my bag. I usually travel with a Think Tank bag. This is the bigger size, and I just put it on the side and that's it. So I usually just travel with that. That was the one I used for the Versace shoot. When I'm in New York City, yes, depending on my job criteria, it will depend. So I might be using the Octa, I might be using the 7-foot umbrella, which is more, it's a bigger light source, a little bit softer. It also depends on the team members I have. So do I work by myself? Yes, I do work by myself sometimes. Like for example, that event that I showed you in Marilyn Monroe, it was just only me on that event. It wasn't necessary for me to bring someone else, so that I could easily capture. Which at the end of the day, I kind of wish I did bring it because, even though I had the job info and criteria, it became more of a project on location. So sometimes it's always good to have an assistant with you. And also when I work with the team, as Joey's actually one of the team members, very talented photographer, which we're blessed to have him. And he knows, right? We travel with a lot of gear sometimes to certain jobs. Yeah. So sometimes it becomes a nightmare. So depending on what to bring, job criteria, your lenses, your gear, your cameras, that plays a very big factor in what I travel with. So here's another shot. This is in Paris. This was actually, I think, shot last year. A very talented photographer. He's actually based out of Long Island, Brian. Is Park Ave Studios, and he wanted a new speaker headshot, something he could showcase for his speaking events. So coming from one of the conferences that we were teaching in, I was like, you know what? Let's take a detour from Italy let's go to Paris, and let's do a cool shot of you there. And that was it. It was like another, I think it was $60 just to go round trip ticket from Italy to go to Paris, and we shot there and we kept it simple. And these are the shots that we got. Again, nothing really done to them at all. And that was just using one light source. Yes, those are real birds. And going back, also, I think another key factor, which I'll elaborate later on, is working around the subject. That's one thing I do a lot is I'll take a step to the left, I'll take a step to the right, I go higher, go lower. I'll tell the subject to turn their back towards me. So now you're getting a whole different perspective and a whole different look. And this is how I also create my wall art. Choosing my light source. So this plays a very big part when I get on location. For many of you that don't know, it's larger the light source, softer the light is. All right, so what that means is, actually, Joey, help me out. Actually, yeah, let Joey hook me up. I'll just show you guys. Again, everyone's at a different level. Put this on for me. Yeah. Everyone's at a different level, I'm sure, especially when we're on social media live. But like anything else, I'm always going back to my basics. I still watch 101 basics of photography because it's something to always learn. So, thanks, Joe. All right. So, like anything else, close to the light source. Let's use this light for example. Ooh, it's like a little hard. When this light is a lot closer towards the subject, it becomes a lot softer. When it's further away, what happens? It's harder to light. So I'm always looking for that. I'm always want to create, depending on who I'm photographing, will play a part in it. So obviously for a younger person, I could probably shoot maybe a harder light. So the smaller the light source, harder the light is so as a softbox, you could do the same thing. So softbox, people will say, hey, you know what? It's a softbox, it'll create a soft light. Technically, yes, but also no. Further the light source is, it becomes harder. If you go on westcottu.com, there's actually a tutorial that I spoke about how to use a softbox into a hard light, which I'll elaborate more into it. All right, so my workflow. This is what I usually do when I get on location. Doesn't matter what the kind of job criteria is. It could be a wedding, corporate, commercial, family portrait, it doesn't matter. First things first is always location. So location, the composition, lighting, it might shift. So either lighting might come first or composition might come first. So whether I'm gonna use natural light, a strobe, or mixed lighting. So when I say mixed lighting, I might mix it in with strobe and natural light. So it starts creating a little bit more of a natural feel to it, but with a pop of flash. The gear and the settings on a camera. So that could be what kind of camera I'll be using, what kind of what lens I'll be using, what kind of f-stop or shutter speed I want to shoot at. Communicating, directing your client, evoke the emotion. So these are pretty much the 5 steps I always go by. Moving forward. Location. So now when you're on location, you got to decide, should I hide the distractions? All right, and how can I do that? Either, I don't want to retouch anything, so I try to do as much as I can in camera. If I could fix it, if there's a can bottle where I'm photographing the subject, I'll tell my assistant, or I'll go and move the can because I really don't want to spend time retouching anything. So take the time, take 20 seconds to slow down, all right? Treat it like film day, just slow it down and adjust it right then and there. So have a backup plan, always have a backup plan. If you guys are shooting models on location, weddings, there's always, you gotta set up a plan A to plan Z. And a worst case scenario. So plan A, when everything works. So this is actually in Mexico, not Mexico, right near Mexico border. And I always wanted to add this to my bucket list to do a shoot in the desert. So we went out, we bought a dress, and the dress, I think it was like $900. You could return it. We ended up returning it to a certain store, which I don't want to mention, get in trouble. And we went out there and we just did a shot. And this is actually shot with a 16 or 35 Canon lens. I shot this at 16 millimeter. I got really, really, really close to her to distort the lens, and also the posing played a very, very big part. And if her elbows were switched, the first thing the light would hit our elbow. So I wanted her face to be lit up first. So that's why the pose was in that way. So a little behind the scenes in what we did. Nothing crazy, cell phone. This is before the switch box even came out. Look how flexible I am. Uh, you know, because of that shot, it actually got me a lot of business, and that was a personal project myself. Actually, I got 3 really great clients, and they were actually a dress company. So again, sometimes taking the extra step, setting up for that date for the personal project will get you into work. So plan B, when you can't control the weather. How many times have you been on location that, as we all know, especially when it comes to weddings, is that it rains, it snows, there's an earthquake. Yes, I've done a wedding on an earthquake. It was pretty crazy. What do you do in that situation? So for example, this shot alone, it's an oldie, but it's a goodie. This is a shot with one speed light. It was actually raining. It kind of, you know, I really wanted to capture more location, but it was just really bad. So this was a speed light in the back. Obviously the settings are there. Shutter speed 125 at 5.6. I'm shooting a little bit more wide open because I don't want everything to be too focused. I want the attention span to go to them a little bit more. Yes, they're a little bit distorted on the far right, but again, at the end of the day, it's not going into a print competition. So I'm really photographing for them. And I had my assistant with me. And of course, the other flash that we had, the batteries were dead. So what do you do in that situation? Only one flash. So my assistant was wearing a white shirt underneath his jacket. And I told him, listen, you forgot the batteries, you know, open up your jacket. Told him to stand right over here. And when the flash went off, it bounced off from his chest and kicked light back into his face. He got a little bit wet. I don't care. That's what happens when you forget your batteries, because you're an assistant. So again, taking advantage of what you have. You know, play with your surroundings. Look. So see the rain. You can see behind you. You can see behind the person. So it was pretty bad. So moving forward, so location. So this is actually, if you look up, again, going back to Google, there's always locations. You could look at Google Earth. You know, the technology is really easy to find locations these days. If you go there, this is exactly where I shot them. Did I do this for my clients before the shoot? No, I'm actually doing it for more as a presentation, so you could see. Sometimes you just got to work what's around you. Take advantage of the canopy. And the X is exactly where they were standing, and we were actually standing out in the open, which we got a little bit wet. Leading lines. That's one thing I'm always looking for, is leading lines in some way. So over here, this is actually shot in Long Island City. It's not a crazy image, you know. It was a typical, you know, engagement session, but where we were, it was too far to get to one of the locations, so we had to just make it work. So always looking for your surroundings. There's always a shot everywhere you go. The thing is, you just have to look for it. So for this shot, I wanted to compress the image. So when I compress it, when I say compress, it's using a 70 to 200 millimeter. So I was literally almost towards the corner, and I zoomed in the lens, so your attention will go straight to them. And by you compressing it, it also makes the person look a little thinner. And it also blurs out the background a little bit more. Yes, you could blur out the background using the f-stop, or you could blur out the background using, depending on what kind of millimeter that you're using. But it's all personal choice. I try to keep it very basic. So when I was about to start photographing them, they're like, Will, there's a dumpster here. I was like, who cares? So there was a dumpster there, but look at the angle. From that angle to that angle. So by, again, taking a step toward, there's always a leading line in some way or another. So even though there's a straight wall, take a few steps towards your left or towards your right. You start seeing the leading lines come in. So I'm always looking for stuff like that. So that's where I shot them. That's where they were. Same idea, location-wise. You know, we had a client that she wanted something a little bit different for her 316. She wanted to showcase it on social media, I think also for our party. So she had only a limited budget. She wanted a Cinderella feel to it. She wanted a Cinderella shot. You know, so she gave me some examples. I'm like, all right, cool. The Annie Leibovitz shot with the Cinderella, her walking down from the castle, which I know was a green screen, but that was an easy production of close to $80,000 to $100,000 minimum. That's like at the lowest. That might have been just the retouching fee. So we had to find a location that worked, that we could still capture that feeling, that look. So if you look really closely on the right, you see a van passing right by. That's the highway. So changing your angle, so now all you have to do is get down nice and low a little bit more and tell her to lean towards the camera. So I always tell my clients to lean towards the camera, so it cheats the perspective and it also makes it look even thinner. Because if she's standing nice and straight, everything else from the bottom is gonna be really distorted. It makes the person look wide. So that's the highway. And that's where she was with the X. As you can see, the cars are passing by. This is actually in Queens, right off the, what's it called? The Cross Island. So she wanted that staircase shot. She wanted her coming down the stairs. We didn't have a big fancy castle, so we had to make it work. There was a castle that we could have got, but just to rent that out for literally for the shoot was close to $15,000. Yeah, my client was like, I can't afford it. I was like, perfect. So give me that kind of money and I'll take care of it. Not a big deal. So I'm always trying to make it work. Always trying to think outside the box. And the light that's coming down on the shoe, that's all available light. You know, so I'm looking for pockets of light from the trees, and we put the shoe all the way in the back. If you really look at the image, you get to see it. And this is shot with 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it was about 4 lights, and that was it. This is actually using the Octa M from Westcott, and we used another umbrella from the back. It's actually hiding right behind her. That's lighting up the shoe a little bit more. And these are the stairs with the X's. Actually, I gotta post that video. It's an interesting shoot. And same thing, another shot as well. So this is where I take advantage of distorting the image, the photograph. So this is using the 11 and 24 millimeter. So the dress is like really distorted. So that's the look I wanted. I wanted to use those kind of somewhat of a leading lines from the trees. Again, is it the best image? No, there's a lot of imperfections here and there, but it worked, you know, the best for the client. And where the X was, this is where she was, but couldn't get an angle from Google Maps. So composition, looking for leading lines, decided the angle from the shoot. So it all depends. Like for the shot on the camera, the shot right over here, this shot was actually very hard to shoot. It was actually at one of the forts in, I think it's Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn, right? What's the name of the fort? Right. Fort Hamilton, yeah. So thank you. So Fort Hamilton. So the thing is, it was very, very dark stone. So what do you do in the situation? You know, she wanted the stairs, and I was like, all right. So I used 1124. I know the dress looks like it's cut off, but the dress isn't cut off. I think it's just the crop from the screen. So this is just using 2 ice lights, nothing crazy, nothing elaborate. I have 1 ice light in the back, hitting them, and another ice light closer towards him. I'm sorry, 1 ice light from the back, so it creates a backlight, and another ice light in the foreground, so right next to me on camera left, just to fill in a little bit of the shadows. Because you could do a backlight, but what about the foreground? Because if you lose the foreground, then you lose all the details in the shadows. So I actually just brought up the shadows about maybe 22, 25%, and that was it. Another key factor in this, I don't know if I could zoom into it. No, I can't zoom in. So as you can tell by the face, one thing, it's paying attention to detail. Actually, let's bring you, can you come this way? Let me ask, remind me your name, I'm sorry.
Kennedy.
What is it?
Kennedy.
Kennedy, I love that name, Kennedy. So Kennedy, you can come this way. So it should be my model. So let's show, here's a key factor that I think might help. So you are her, come this way. So one of the biggest things is understanding, instead of her looking directly at me, so look directly. So now you see our profiles. The thing is, I like to show a little bit more emotion. So I'll tell the subject, Kennedy, I want you to look towards my shoulder. Turn your head more. Now you get to see more of her expression. So I'm always looking for that. So always turning the head towards the camera just slightly. That has a lot more impact than just looking straight on. Because it looks like, you ever seen 2 ducks kiss? Ducks don't kiss, by the way. It looks weird. It looks too profile. So that shows a little bit more emotion. So I'm always looking for stuff like that. Okay? Thank you so much. Yeah. Appreciate it. You guys, do your typical shots when you're shooting on location, the same exact thing. But take another like 5 seconds and do that little tip. I guarantee you're going to have a whole different look. And say something crazy, something fun. You'll see a little bit more emotion. And 9 out of 10 times, they always purchase this photograph for some reason because it shows emotion. All right, so shooting vertical, horizontal, it's all very different. So I rarely shoot vertical. That's not really my style of shooting. I love to capture more horizontal shots. It also looks great on my albums and how I design. But this shot, you couldn't really do a horizontal because I couldn't go any further back, and also it just didn't work. So I had to shoot it vertical. So decide where to put the subject. So putting the subject in the area will play a very big part. You can see where the leading line is going right near their necks in the back, where the wall is. So I had to position it in a way that it just made sense. If not, then you have a leading line going through their heads, and it just doesn't look really good, especially for print competition. All right. Also, because they're on stairs, I'm shooting below. I'm also telling them to lean towards the camera. I was always leaning. Remember, if they're leaning away from the camera, it makes them look wider. It makes their tushies a lot bigger. So, so this is Daniel Martin, Silk Martin Studios in Chicago. So this is actually a WPPI. You guys have to meet this guy. He's amazing, beyond talented studio. And we were talking. And he's like, "Will, you haven't got a picture of me, man. Come on, I want to get something cool, something different." I was like, "Dude, I'm tired. Working all day, speaking, shooting on location." And I was like, "You know what? I might take it a little step this way." And mind you, I'm sitting down. I don't even want to stand up. And I might lean towards me. And I had one of my friends, or I think it might have been Joey. You might have taken out your cell phone video light, and that was a shot. So sometimes it's nice to just sit back, look for lean lines, or not lean lines. Look at something interesting, and that's the ceiling. So sometimes shooting low, shooting high, taking a step towards the left, taking a step towards the right will change the whole look completely. And yes, I told him to lean towards the camera. It's all about leaning. So over here, dramatic, lean lines. This is actually shot with a wide angle lens. This is more of an empowerment shoot. She wanted something a little bit different. She's single, ready to mingle. She's about to encounter the world. And that's how I wanted to portray her. I wanted to show like a little more sassy, a little bit more attitude. So this is actually right near the studio in Long Island City where I shoot. I figured, you know what, let's go outside. Let's do something different. And that was it. I think we took maybe 6 to maybe 10 shots. And I think this is the shot that stood out to me the most. And this is just using one speed light. I hung it right then and there. My assistant left early, so that was it. Same thing, looking for leading lines. This is a backlight. I already knew light was gonna kick back into her. There was a white wall behind me. So obviously when the light passes through her, it hits the wall and it comes back into her. So looking at reflections, looking where the light could possibly bounce. So when you're in a white studio, it's great because you have pretty much light everywhere, soft light everywhere. But the problem is it also becomes your nightmare because you don't want light to bounce everywhere. All right, to make an image look very dimensional is you have to create shadows. So I'm always looking to create shadows and make it look dimensional. That is not an ISO, that's a Canon Speedlight 600 Type 2. Yeah. So sometimes I like to use strobes or speedlights. The reason why, because sometimes for me, it's a little faster because I could really control the power right off my camera. And yeah, I think these days I probably should maybe 6 out of 10 times is mostly strobe or flash in some way or another, or speedlights. And again, same thing, her leaning towards the camera. So again, it might feel awkward. So she's standing there, but I had to sort of lean towards the camera. If not, then her tushy would look too big. She already had a round tushy as it is. I don't want to make it even bigger. So I wanted to make sure it's complemented towards her. Also creating a gap. As you see where her arms are, is always creating a gap. So the difference between this, I look wider. Now when I open up, I look even thinner. The problem with this is I'm still adding another 10 to 50% more because I'm making it wider. Now bringing your elbows behind your spine, as you can see, I just lost another 10 to maybe 50% more. Obviously turning your body, lean towards the camera, same idea. So always creating curves. So instead of doing this, makes you look wider, bring it behind. And when you guys practice, try to practice in front of a mirror. All right? If you know how to pose yourself, then you can pose someone else. So when you do this, trying to keep your elbow behind your spine, it's hard because your thumb is being locked in there. So just bring that thumb out, relax it here. And that's really it. So those little micro adjustments will play a very big part in your photograph. Same thing over here. This is actually using hard light. You know, I like to use hard light for certain things. Does it always work? No, but you know, I had the time, so I played with it a little bit more, and that was it. So this is using one light, camera left. It's on the other side of this column, as you can see. She's looking, you know, a little bit more attitude, looking towards the camera. And this was shot maybe about 2 years ago. Obviously, we couldn't enhance the shot with the elbow bent, you know, but that was the shot. Same thing over here, wide angle lens. This is shooting for 11 to 24 millimeter. This is shot at 11 millimeter, and I told them to lean towards the camera as far as they could. And I just crop out anything that looks really distorted or looks too obvious. They really wanted to capture the hotel. So they're from out of town. Composition, how to move around your subject, which plays a very big part. As I stated before, moving to left, right, up and down will change the look completely. So take a step to the right or left, which is key factor. I keep saying this because you could shoot as much as you can this way, bang, 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 but by you taking a step towards the right, it changes the whole look completely. I actually gave one of the demos in Photo Plus Westcott. You know, we had like a little competition, I guess. It's like how many shots can you get that look completely different within a matter of 15 seconds. So I had a regular attendee, and that's what we did. It wasn't trying to see, you know, to prove, you know, who could win. It's just making you really think outside the box. So here again, taking a step to the left, to the right, changing different angles. This is a demo I did for Westcott for one of the educational videos. Again, go to westcottu.com and you get to see the full tutorial and also my settings and so on and so on. And yeah, so we were empathizing the detail of the dress and also the details. And these are some of the shots I got just from that angle. And obviously you can see where the light is coming from, camera right, and also there's like sun field to the image on the camera left. And in the tutorial from westcottu.com, it'll show you step by step how I built the scene. I also use the gel for that. So by me moving around the scene without moving any kind of light possible, I just moved around the scene. Because once you have your lighting set up, all you have to do is move around. That's all you have to do, especially when you're time limited. Imagine getting to a job, for example, like I don't know, a wedding, and your event planner says originally you had an hour to shoot, and next you know you're there for, then when you're on location, you have 5 minutes to shoot this. So this is how you start moving really, 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 really quick. One thing I know I'm very good with my team, and Joey could tell you, is how I move very quick. When I'm under pressure, I think that's where I shine. Tell me no, Joe. Yeah, because everyone's a photographer, but when the pressure's on you, and you got to get it done within seconds, that's a whole different ballgame. So I like training in that way under pressure, because once you're on a job, it becomes a piece of cake. So this is the site. Go to westcottu.com and you get to see some of the tutorials on it. And there's other talented Westcott Top Pros that'll be speaking about what they do as well. So here's another shot as well behind the scenes. This is, I think it was really capturing more composition than anything else. This is in Ohio for a Westcott video. How many different shots can I get on location without moving the lights? And here is one of those shots. So it's one shot straight on. I took a few steps to the left, then a few steps to the other left, and look, just completely different. But I did not move the light in any way. So of course, one of the things I saw on YouTube, I think one of the comments, I try to get back to everyone, and it's like, why didn't you just shoot available light, Because sometimes I want the image to really pop. I want it to stand out from the background. I want to have full control of what the viewer sees. In the Westcott video, actually, you get to see how it shot available light with strobe and how I start adding different kind of elements to the shot. That's the shot again, behind the scenes. All right, so you guys might have seen this for the FJ400 behind the scenes video. This is using the strobe. This is actually using a deep umbrella. I think it's the 53-inch one. And again, it's straightforward, shooting nice and low. And this is the shot I got. The only retouching that really went onto it, I took something away from the building. And that was really it. I mean, the thing is sharp. I shot this at f14, shutter speed 160, ISO 100. I also shot this with the new polarizer, circular polarizer from Canon. It's the drop-in filter. Highly recommend it. And yeah, you get to control where you want the speckle highlights to be. Another thing, another scene, was just using one lens. We got to a location and it was, I think we had to create something, how to make a location look really cool, but the location was already cool. So there was nothing much I could really do to it. So we ended up changing the topic to, I guess, more composition and moving. So again, constantly moving around. So this is just using a 24 to 70 and that's it. So I backed up, a little more wide angle shot, zoomed in, I got nice and low. Then I took a few steps to the left, completely different angles. I'm looking for pockets, like as you can see, her head is in the window. This is the behind the scenes. Again, nothing was retouched or photoshopped out. So let me go back. So if you could hide the strobes or reflectors, whatever, try and do so. So I have one FJ400 nice and high behind the statue. I had a Canon speed light from distance as a fill. Again, you want to fill up the shadows. And the great thing about FJ400, the new strobe, is that they actually work hand to hand with the Canon speed lights, which is very, very cool. So for a Canon shooter, that's a bonus for me. It's another angle as well. So you can see the angle, again, 24 to 70. And those are the shots again. The fundamentals of photography, the rule of thirds. Everyone's interpretation is a little bit different. For me, it's, shooting horizontal. I always use the rule of thirds. I keep it a little bit more basic. I'm always trying to put the head or someone's face near those locations from the grids. I rarely use it when I do vertical. So it's hard for me to kind of put someone in rule of thirds when it's a vertical shot. I know, it sounds weird, but for me, it's a little difficult for me to do that. Just being transparent, like again, no one's perfect. And I'm always looking for clean backgrounds. So this is actually a wedding venue, my wedding venue. I love, it was a difficult place to shoot because of the color temperature. So this is using color temperature gels. It's the same idea, backlight, speed light, and on the foreground was a colored gel just to warm it up so it feels like the light is coming from the chandelier. Again, rule of thirds, all right, just one light. It's pretty much hard light bouncing off from my storage. Believe it or not, my storage area is right there, and I just bounced the light and I told her to turn her head towards the light and that was it. And on the far left, there's a window. So sometimes, like I said, look for locations in your place or your studio. You can always create something cool with it. So this was actually shot on, it was on the floor. I think it was a WPPI. One of the hardest things is how do you create something cool on location in front of hundreds of people and make people go, wow, something different. So when you're in the spotlight, it's always a lot harder because you're under pressure. So you have to make sure you deliver. So this was pretty much shot with two speed lights. I put a Canon speed light on the foreground in the back, with a blue gel. And this was actually just a beauty dish. I think it was what's the beauty dish that we what's it called? The beauty dish, the Joel Grimes. I'm sorry, Joel Grimes. Forgive me. Sorry, Joe. My bad. So yeah. So that was her light, little specular, which I love, which was about maybe, I don't know, 3 feet away from her. And that was it. That was a shot. More of the composition-wise. When the composition or the environment doesn't direct the viewer's attention enough. So what does that exactly mean? Lighting. So sometimes, yes, can you shoot pretty much these days everything available light? Yeah, you can. But there's a big difference between shooting available light and photographing using great available light. So I'm always looking for great available light in some way or another. Yes, we have this technology with the high ISOs and you can shoot wide open, But again, there's always good and bad available light. So always looking for that. So location doesn't matter if the shadows and highlights are great. So I'm always looking for the Sunny 16 rule. It's more of a traditional photography. That's what I learned when I was growing up in the industry. And this is what we had to know. If we were outside, f16, all right, if it was sunny, shutter speed 200, and that was it, or f11, depending on the situation. These days, it's a little bit different with digital. So usually when I'm outside, when it's midday, harsh lighting, let's say 12 o'clock, I'm always putting my shutter speed at shutter speed 200, f11. And the reason why I put it at f11, yes, it should be f16, but the difference is if you're photographing someone, they're not really f16, they're really f11. So these are the quick things I usually do on location just to speed up my workflow. And usually when people come on location, like when I have an intern or when I have a student, an attendee, they want to come and see what we do on location, they always say, you shoot very quick, you don't even look at the screen. I'm like, how do you even do that? And the reason why is, one is experience, two, I already know within the distance of the flash, I know what's it going to give me. And this is also using a light meter. So if you guys don't have a light meter, I highly recommend getting one. It'll save you a lot of time and also the learning curve. All right, yes, you could chimp all you want every day, but the thing is, when you're under pressure, it's a whole different ball game. All right, moving forward. So 90% of my jobs is always off-camera lighting. My dominant light is always on camera right or camera left, whether it's 45-degree angle or a 90-degree angle. So for this shot, the light was really a 90-degree angle from the subjects on camera left. I'm always looking for catch light in the eye. So as you can see, the catch light is really peeking in. So one thing that I'm always looking for is creating a catch light. If you don't create catch light, the person looks like they're dead. Looks like the Walking Dead. So I'm always looking for that. So moving forward, gels, again, like I stated before, what I use, we were losing the sunset already, so the sun was already behind them, so we put another flash behind them using a Roscoe gel, which recreates the sunset and makes it feel a little bit more warmer. And I'm actually going to speed up a little bit because we're losing losing track of time. Same idea. This is what using the gels. I like to use to recreate it to make it pop a little bit more for her to stand out from the background. Same thing using gels. The sun was already gone, but I put the gel on there to make it look warmer. Gear, settings on the camera. All right, I'm a Canon user. All right, this is what I use to go on location. Again, it's all personal preference. I like to be very compact when I travel. Yes, I do use f4 lenses. The reason why, because I really don't shoot anything wider than 5.6. Begin with the end in mind. So this is my two assistants. Always have a game plan in the beginning. My clients didn't want to get bothered anymore for the wedding, so I purposely set up the lighting how I want it. I brought my assistants up to do a quick test shot, and once everything was set, I brought them up. 10 seconds later, 5 to 7 different shots. They were done. They got to enjoy the party. And here's the comparison. So if you have the time, do it. It could be anything, any kind of shoot. Same idea at the Plaza Hotel, using colored gels. The nightmare about shooting at the Plaza Hotel is the waiters. They are always, they're everywhere. So in order to get the shot, I had to drag the shutter. So by me dragging the shutter, I don't have to retouch anyone out. And by, when you're dragging the shutter this much, everyone becomes blurry. Moving forward, let's speed it up a little bit. These are kind of the gels that I use. And the reason why I'm using these gels, you ever shoot in a room that you have this orangey room, but now the flash that hits the person is kind of bluish? Well, in order to avoid that and to balance things out, I like to use gels, color temperature gels. So here's another shot that we did this a couple weeks ago, understanding what you're trying to achieve, a little bit different. So it becomes a snoop. So instead of carrying extra gear, So blue gel. So I like to play with colors, but it has to warn it. I'm not just gonna throw color into a scene that it just doesn't make sense. And I'll shoot several different kind of images so I could create a nice cool spread or the wall art for their home. So I'll get nice and close to the mirror. Let me move forward, and the shot is this. This is in camera. She's leaning towards the camera, wide angle. It's like how many shots can you really get at the same venue? So I'm always looking at different angles, different ways I could just shoot completely different from each location. Again, this is in camera. There's no enhancement, so you have an idea. Same here, location played a very big part. So backlight, and this is all using hard light, a camera, flash camera left, and a backlight on the right. Something a little bit different, pick her up, spin her around, a little bit more emotion. So creating that emotion plays a very big part. Same thing over here, two light system, make it a little more dramatic. This is one of the reasons why I like using strobe or flash. Evoke emotion, that's one of the key things that it doesn't matter how technical you are, how perfect the shot is lighting wise, but if your emotion stands out, it wins. Doesn't matter. I mean, I even saw images that, and I'm not proud about it, I missed the focus. And those are the shots that they bought. But hey, they spent a lot of money on it. So this shot, I had a couple that flew in from London to do a shoot in New York. This is actually the day of Photo Plus, and we actually got to use the FJ400 for the shoot. That's Joey. Rob and Lisa. Rob is a Sony ambassador and Fundy as well. And these are kind of shots. Again, it's about evoking the emotion, So just look at each other, talk to each other, talk about something funny. Obviously, when you get to know the client and who they are, you're already saying certain things that would just make them bring out the emotion even more. So that's one thing I'm always looking to bring out the emotion. So do you guys have any questions before I do a quick little presentation on what I do? I guess we could do something in here. Any questions at all? Any takers? No? All right. So guys, bear with me on social media. Again, it's very different for me to talk to someone on a camera. Yeah, so let's do it. Kennedy, let's do it up. Do something cool. So let's bring that bad boy in. All right, so one of the benefits of the new FJ400 is what? Let's see. Let me switch over. Bring this up. How much time do we have, 20 minutes. 20 minutes! That's not bad. That's a lot of time. Rushing me. Yeah. All right, there you go. All right. Kennedy, where you from?
I live in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn girl. Are you originally from Brooklyn?
No.
No? Tell me about you.
North Carolina.
Carolina. When made you come out here?
Modeling.
Modeling. Are you working with an agency or?
Yeah, I work with a few different ones.
Yeah. Anyone in particular or no?
Lots of smaller agencies since I'm not exclusive.
Okay. So tell me about what's your style? What do you like to? What's your modeling? Like, what are you looking to get
Lots
into?
of different stuff. I do a lot of beauty ads. I do high fashion. Lots of magazines. Runway. All that stuff.
Is there a particular side you like to be photographed on?
Yeah, but according to Dave, it's my wrong side.
Really? Well, what side is that?
I don't have one now, apparently.
Well, what is your side? What do you like? What do you do your selfies?
I don't really take selfies.
You know,
But
small.
I like my left side. But Dave says my right side's better.
So your left side here. Got it. Got it. Well, I see perfect both sides. Don't listen to that guy. You know what?
Really have a bad side.
Seriously, God, there you go. Now she has to get a therapist, man. Thanks, I appreciate it. So you like to do a lot of beauty stuff, and that's.
I do a lot of beauty stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Like a lot of campaigns for different brands and things like that.
Okay. So if you had a choice, what would you want to do?
I mean, for a long time I was really into lingerie and boudoir and stuff, but I think I've transitioned more into the beauty side of things.
Okay.
It pays better.
Okay. So obviously you enjoy it more because you're making more money in that
Yeah.
way. But if you had to
Exactly.
pick, it'll be.
I like bridal a lot too.
Bridal, okay.
Bridal's fun. Yeah.
Okay.
But depending on the style of high fashion can be great too.
Okay. What kind of high fashion you like?
Like crazy makeup.
Crazy, very dramatic.
Yeah.
Like crazy, like a lot of
lots
motion.
movements, yeah.
A
I
lot of
love
movements.
that.
Okay. Very cool. All right. Let's see who was paying attention. What are the key points that she brought up?
Her best side, where she's from.
That's one. Give some people. So her best side. Okay. What was the other? She likes beauty shots. All right. Is that true? Okay. What about yourself? Yeah. I know you just walked in. You had plenty of time to listen in.
She don't take selfies, but she likes side that she thought was her better side.
What side was that?
Her left.
Her left. What about you? What's another key point that she said? You don't remember? You're a photographer? No? Okay, you just shut up. Yeah. Thanks for showing up. Are you guys just gathering people from the outside? What are you guys doing? All right. So again, listening. All right. So listening plays a very big part. John, what's the key? John, you're John too? We got John. What's another key point?
Just North Carolina.
North Carolina. She has an accent. We have the accent, right?
No, not really.
Not really. Okay. So finding out those key points plays a very big part in how I shoot. So finding all this information out. So the first things first. So before Dave gave her a complex, with that she has no side. Thank you very much.
To be
To be fair.
defending Dave here.
Okay.
He didn't say I had a bad side.
Okay.
He said one side was a little better.
That's exactly
She's smart. She's like, I want to work again.
That's exactly what I said.
That's awesome. So, all right. So she pretty much said she has a left side. So a typical client, whatever it is, I like to find that out because I want to focus. I want to hone in on that. Because if I'm photographing you on your left side and I'm building that rapport with you, you start getting a little bit more comfortable because it shows that I'm listening to you. Is that correct or not? So it's the same idea. So guys, I'm going to do a couple of quick test shots. Again, building that rapport. So I already know what she's looking for. I already know she likes a dramatic makeup. Obviously, this scenario is a little bit different because it's kind of like a presentation. But I already know this before we even had the shooting date because I have the makeup artist already come in. She was already doing her makeup. The wardrobe will be already picked out. So let's make believe you're all set up for this cool high fashion shot with movement. So we're gonna play with it a little bit. So I want you to make believe, close your eyes. I want you to make believe you're in this cool dress, very dramatic. What color is the dress?
Ooh.
Blue. So cool blue dress with crazy makeup. And I want you to look towards me a little bit. Take a little step this way.
So are
Perfect.
we doing?
Yeah,
This is
so
where
we-
the model has to listen too.
Yeah.
Because are we doing full body? or
No, we're gonna do about like from chest up, all right? Because we don't have the right outfit and also the lighting I haven't even tested out. So bear with me for a second. So we're gonna do a quick little test shot and perfect. You're gonna turn your nose a little bit towards that light a little bit. Hold on, just like that, perfect. Now I'm focusing on her left side. So let's look in. So what I'm gonna do, I don't know how it looks on everyone's screen out there. So I'm gonna just adjust a little bit because it looks overexposed here. So let's do one more shot. You're gonna take a little step back.
Testing, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'm gonna test. So guys, usually when I do the shoots, the lighting is already set up how I want it, but we're doing a quick presentation. So first things first, with the lighting, I usually like to have the lighting cross right over her. I don't like to point the light directly towards her, and the reason why is like you're just showering the light on her. So by her looking at towards this camera, this light, this area over here becomes really soft, and it kind of wraps around her face. So we're gonna do one more. The great thing about this FJ400 trigger is that you can use it on any system. Canon, Nikon, Sony, you name it. The only thing with the Sony, you need the adapter for it. All right, so guys, bear with me because I'm not that familiar with it yet because I haven't got my toy yet. I'm waiting for Dave to send it to me or Brandon. Perfect. I love how they give me this stuff on presentation day. Perfect. There you go. Just like turn your head a little bit. Actually, turn your head a little bit more towards me. I want your eyes to look towards me. There you go. Just like that. Lean towards me a little bit. Gorgeous. Hold that. Stay right there. Adjust. All right, so let's look. We're gonna analyze it. So first thing that I look at is the catch light in the eye. I'm always looking to make her look like she's living. So again, I'm now focusing on left side. Even though I see both best sides, So let's take advantage of the shot a little bit more. I feel there's a little bit too much shadow on her left, and the best way, what I usually do is, if I don't have the equipment, I want to tell her to turn her head towards the light a little bit more. So all I have to do is she doesn't have to move, just turn your head towards the camera a little bit more. Yeah, just like that, bro. There you go, turn your head a little bit this way. There you go, burn down, bring your head, perfect, just like that. And I want you to breathe out with your mouth. Gorgeous. Stay right there, don't move, relax. So the reason why I asked her to breathe out with her mouth is, one, it relaxes the lips. It makes the lips a little more what's the right word? More plummy. All right. Plus, now I'm still catching the catch light in our eye. Now we can analyze it. Can we do better? Absolutely. We could always do better. All right. We could put a room with 10 photographers in it, same exact gear, and everyone will shoot completely different. But now I'm purposely shooting for either the wall art or for the album or the look. So what I want to do is just exactly, I'm going to come in a little bit closer. That's it. Stay just like that. It's okay. You can leave it like perfect. Hold that just like that. Look straight down. Perfect. Now I'm changing my angle a little bit more. Hold it just like that. Lower your chin, just stay here. Perfect. Now bring your eyes back at me. Hold that just like that. Whoop. Sorry. There you go. Do one shot like that. All right, so I'm constantly looking for different angles. So let's enhance this shot. So now we're looking at this shot. She has these gorgeous eyes. I want to showcase it. One of the benefits of the FJ400, it has a monoline light on it. And anyone in this room, what is the benefits of having a monoline light on the flash?
See where your light is.
You can see where the light is, where it's going exactly. But the other take on it, you also get to see the iris. All right, the iris. So she has this. What color are your eyes?
One's green, one's blue.
Oh, how cool is that? So we got to take advantage. So you see her eyes right here. Joe's gonna zoom into them. So we're gonna take advantage of this. So this is on high. What happens when you walk into a room that's completely dark? What happens to your iris? I mean, your pupil? Dilates, right? So now you don't get to see the iris in any way, right? So what we're gonna do is actually, let's have, you know what, let's give an example. Let's say we don't have an assistant. When I tell you to, just turn it on. Okay. Facing towards you, or just like that. Or just like that, you can bring it out, hold it out. So we're gonna do the same exact thing. All right, turn your head a little bit this way. There you go. I'm gonna get nice and close purposely. This is not the typical lens I will use. All right, so turn on the light. All right, perfect. Stay right there. Bring that light in. Zoom into her eyes. And Joey, can you do a comparison between that one and the other one? So zoom in. See the difference between that one and the other one? So now you get to see those beautiful eyes. Go back to the other one, which is great. Now we really get to see it. Now the other issue is, all right, cool. Now we have one catch light, and now we have another catch light. What if you don't want that? What is the best way of getting rid of that? Any takers in here? Move the light. Move this light?
The second light.
The second light. Where would you move the light?
I guess lower or to the side.
Yeah, so you could, so let me have the ice light. So yeah, you can move it to the side, but you can always see where the catch light is gonna be, right? So just to say, you know, let's do this because we can. See, help me out, John. So let's say you put the light there. Okay. So close your eyes for a second. The reason why I'm asking her to close her eyes is why? Any takers? Because now her eye is getting a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Same idea. Actually, move this little feather a little bit this way. Perfect. Same idea. All right. Open your eyes. 1, 2, 3. Huh? Perfect. Relax. Now you're squinting. Let's do one more because she's not happy with it. There you go. There you go. Same idea. There you go. First. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Hold that. Go. Perfect. Relax. Pull that up. Now you kind of still see it. Close it up. You kind of still see it. So again, it's all personal taste. Some people might like it. Some people won't. Personally, I don't, especially when it comes to product shooting and shooting photography for beauty. I want to give the retoucher least work as possible because my overhead with the retouching will be a lot less. A key factor will be what? You already have this amazing light source coming in this way. All right, so where else can we put it? I usually like to do this. Yeah, so obviously in a production shoot, a real commercial shoot, we won't be doing this, but I'm using this as an example as a wedding shoot. You're on location, you don't have the proper gear. So we're actually gonna hide this right over here. So we're gonna do the same thing. Actually, John, can you come actually this way? Sorry. So this is John. He came all the way from Philly for this. Talented photographer. Check him out. So there you go. So same idea. Perfect. Turn your head a little bit this way. Turn your head a little bit this way. There you go. So there you go. Ready? Close your eyes for a second. Open your eyes. Ready? Actually, get nice and close. Hold on. I don't know if you guys can hear my stomach growling. I'm hungry. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Open your eyes. There you go. Yes. Perfect. Stay right there. Relax. Kill the light. Now look. Zoom into the eyes. You don't see it really. The only thing you actually see is what?
Shadow.
You see the little bottom. Why do you see the little bottom area? Yeah, John held it wrong. He's done. So when you hide it, you won't see, now you're reducing that. But the great thing about it, now you get to see the iris, you get smaller pupil, so you want to take advantage of it. So the same thing, she has such a great look. I want to showcase it. The only thing I don't like about it is that she's picking up her chin a little bit more. Remember what I said about leaning towards the camera? When you lean further back, your chin goes up. What's the first thing that hits the lens? The chin. So what's the first thing you want the lens to hit? All right, so by same idea. So leaning towards the camera, same just like that, perfect. Now the question is, what kind of look am I trying to portray of her? So she has a cool, fashionably look. We gotta sit up there and do a real shoot. So same idea. So I want to give a little attitude depending on the posing. So lean towards the camera, hold that just like that. All right, hold that. I love how she goes down. Now what is the problem? Looking at this, before I even shoot it, what do you think is gonna happen to her face? Where's the lighting? There's gonna be harsh lighting. No? So we'll do a shot. Check it out. Ready? 1, 2, 3. So you already know where the lighting where it's gonna go. So check it out. Harsh shadow. All right. So now, depending, you can make this a cool black and white shot, whatever it is. Not really. But the cool thing about it, you still have to catch light in her eye. But I want to showcase the pupil. So now we're gonna do a shot, even though it's not really orthodox in here to do it, but a little bit more motion. She has a cool look. So what I want actually is get a little creative. Yeah, let's get the jacket. We're gonna get a little creative. Again, I usually don't really shoot in this little area. I like to shoot with weird locations. Perfect. Gracias. She has this cool red. I like it, digging it. You know, let's step it up. See, I get bored very easily, so let's take advantage of reflections. So I'm always looking for some kind of reflections. So come around over here. I want you to lean over. Yeah, just like that. So I want you to drop your shoulder. Take it 2 more steps back. Actually, Joe, let's take advantage of the X drop. How far can it go back?
That's it. Spin it.
Pull it out completely. It's fine. Pull it out. There you go. Oh, there you go. Nice. Look, you could do that. So guys, I have like 2 of these X drops. I mean, between traveling and corporate shoots, I highly recommend it. It's compact, and especially the amount of options that they offer is insane. So let's keep it there. First thing, I want a little cool, high fashion, something a little different. Same idea. I'm going to take advantage a little bit of this location. Let's see if this works out. I want you to get really, really, really close to this. Perfect, just like that. So I'm looking for a reflection. And remember what I said about leaning towards the camera? Like I look like I have a baby. Yeah, I lost my six-pack a couple of years ago. So I want to lean towards the camera a little bit. Same idea. Not sure if you guys can see it from over there. Pick up your chin a little bit more. And again, I already know where my light is coming from, so I want to direct her nose towards that light a little bit. Perfect. And I want your eyes to be right here. Always give a direction towards someone. So Kennedy, I want you to look out that way. Nope, that way. Nope, no. See how confused she is? So you want to give the person direction. So Kennedy, I want you to look towards that exit. See how her eye goes straight there? Kennedy, I want you to look towards my laptop. Kennedy, I want you to look at my hair, how pretty it is right now. So giving a person direction, I like to point. So when you're photographing a bride or a headshot shoot, or it doesn't matter what it is, when you give them that direction where to look, it saves you so much headache and time. So you cannot get frustrated with the client because you're not directing them the right way. So we're gonna do a quick shot over here. I might have to adjust my f-stop a little bit, just like that. What? So hold on, get nice and close. Ready? Alrighty. Alright, hold on. And 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Stay right there. Let's look at it. So now we look at the screen. Look what we just created. So imagine we do like a cool color tone or something like that. I feel like we want to add a little bit more light to it. So I'm kind of digging it. So let's add 2. Let's actually bring the other FJ400. This is the 1x3. I love using this. If you guys saw my behind the scenes when I was photographing for Dior, I love using the 1x3s, especially with lighting. Lower that bad boy. All right, so nice and low. So this is Joey, talented photographer. He kills it, yeah, just like that. So, so the only thing is, the downsides of when you have sandwiching light or sandwiching light is that sometimes your bottom light overpowers it. So just a rule of thumb, you want to have at least 2 stops starting point to be under the main dominant light source. So that means if this main light is f8, have it set up about like, about 4.5, 5, 6. So what we have over here, let's do one more. So this is going to kick a little bit more light into our eyes. All right, same idea. So my channel, my grouping. All right, perfect group. And I'm going to power this bad boy down a little bit more. All right, here, same idea, perfect. Just like that. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Stay where you are. That's a test shot. All right, so a little better. So it's from here to here. See the difference between that and that? So I feel like personally, how do you actually, Dave, how do you turn the monitor light on? So Sadi. On the unit. So guys, forgive me. I have
Hit the menu button.
menu.
On the right
Oh, I see. Oh, look how cool is that? I like it. All right, cool. Here you go, just like that. So. All right, so guys, just keep in mind that this is one of the prototypes, all right? Because the new ones have the LED, right? Yeah, something. All right, hold on, just like that. Hold up. I want to light up her eyes. I want to keep those eyes just like that. Perfect. Actually, I'm gonna power it down, power it up a little bit more. Gorgeous, linda. 1, 2, 3. Ah, stop right there. Zoom it up. You blinked. No, hold on. Ah, hold on. Oh, that's my bad. Hold on. You know what I did? I brought, no, there you go, no. I brought up my f-stop too. Sorry, there you go. One more time. Hold on, just like that. 1, 2, 3, perfect, stay right there. I accidentally brought out my f-stop. There you go, just like that. So I'm getting a little bit what I want. Again, I'm not really familiar with the technology yet, but once I'm getting kind of like what I want, a little bit more high fashion. And you can change it up. Change it up even more. So what we're gonna do is actually, let's get really crazy, shall we? Okay, check it out. So now, I'm actually gonna change my color temperature a little bit. We're gonna make it a little bit cooler. I'm gonna bring down my 55 Kelvin. I'm gonna bring it down to maybe 39, because she has a jacket. I wanna make it feel like she's cold, very high fashion. So I want you to turn your body. No, why don't you gonna lay it back on? There you go. Turn your back. Yeah, exactly. So take a little step back more. Yeah, I like that. Perfect. Perfect. Drop that left shoulder. Perfect. Exactly. So I want to make it look like it's a little colder and a little feel. Now I'm going to incorporate my cell phone into it. So I'm going to have how many reflections? So let's see. With my camera. All right, perfect. Okay. Hold that just like that. Sorry, guys. I got gave someone my ESR to play with, and my settings are all off. All right, hold that just like that. Okay, oh, that looks cool. Can they see it live right now, Joey, or no? Off my phone or no? No? Oh, okay, forget it. I thought it would be live. Okay. Hold that just like that. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hold that. Perfect. Stay right there. So you can create different kind of looks like that. The only thing that's really bothering me is our hand. All right, because it feels like it's overpowering. So let's switch hands. Same idea. Yeah, it's okay. All right, it's fine. There you go. We'll just dock it from your pay. Don't worry about it. So always communicating with the subject matter. Even when something goes wrong, I try not to let anyone know. So just like that, gorgeous. She has such a great look. Lower your chin a little bit more. Lower your chin, just like that. And I want you to close your eyes. And when I tell you open them, open them. All right, hold on. 1, 2, 3, open them. Oh, what'd I do? Oh, just loose. Guys, that's the problem about doing this thing live. No pressure, guys. There we go. Ready? 1, 2. Same idea. Perfect. Stay right there. All right, we lost a little bit of it. Let's do one more. My camera. I move my phone. Gorgeous. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Got it. So, all right, cool. I'm kind of digging it. Could it be perfect? No, but you know what? Sometimes we can't can be too great about it. So pretty much I'll usually bring it into my Lightroom. I'll look at it, I'll analyze it. Kind of focus a little bit more on her nose, but again, because trying to be not perfect, so I like to use this, change it up a little bit. I'll bring down my color temperature, just the hair. I want to make it a little bit cool. I like her red jacket, but the thing is it's taken away from her. So the reason why it's blue is because, so I'm going to bring down her jacket, take some red out of it. A little bit. Actually, not even. Let's do this. Radiant filter. Again, this is what I probably do once in a blue, but I just want their attention to go more towards the face. All right. And what I usually do a lot of my stuff is the color tone. Where is this bad boy? I have the shortcuts on my other laptop, of course. So highlights, I want to go a little bit more blue, and maybe go a little bit more reddish, a little bit just like that. Create more of a fashion look to her. Obviously, depending on what she's wearing, the makeup will play a very big part. But it's something that we just created on the fly, so nothing too crazy. I think that's really it. You guys have any other questions? Anything that's, you guys, any more tips or something? You guys good? You guys learn something out there? Yes.
So you're using Octabox, and what do you prefer, the Octabox, the umbrella, or the square softbox?
So that's a great question. It all depends on the look you're trying to go for. I mean, the best person that really explained it is Joel Grimes. He said, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you use. It depends on the catch light.
So the only thing you worry about is the shape of the catch light?
Yeah, depending on what you're looking for. Majority for me, what personally from my opinion is, when I travel, it's either the Octa M or that bad boy over there. All right, so it's all personal taste depending on the kind of look you want. But sometimes I'll just use these. I'll probably take 2 or 3 of these and make like a cool strip box across. You know, when we did the campaign for the Dior, I actually ended up using 3 of those. Really cool, fashion-like. But again, it all depends on the look that they're going for. Because sometimes you could do a headshot shoot with that, and maybe the client doesn't want that. Maybe they just want some cross lighting or some Rembrandt lighting. So that all depends on your client. It depends on the look. As long as you understand the light source, I think you're fine from there. So.
Also, can you explain Rembrandt lighting a bit more, like in terms of the position of the light?
Okay, so pretty much, all right, so the question again, explain exactly the look. Let's take this away. So for me, it's more that it's considered more cross lighting than anything else, so come this way. Joey, bring that back, bring that, the X drop back. Just turn the X drop. So again, the question before was, what is the difference between the Octa M, the umbrella, the shirt box? Is all personal taste. You're creating a different kind of catch light on it. So sometimes people like to use the Octa for a cool catch light, really, really natural. Some people like to use vertical to create a different kind of catch light. The cross lighting or the Rembrandt is, let's turn this away. This is more the standard, let's bring this around over. Hope that doesn't fall. Okay. So as a starting point, you could just keep it really simple. You always want to kind of create a little loop. Kind of shooting downward. I mean, there's a lot of tutorials on this. So let's keep it simple. Where's my camera? Usually when I shoot portraits, I usually like to shoot higher than an 85 millimeter in studio. But again, you could use a wide angle lens as a portrait lens as well. Same idea, perfect whole light just like that. Turn, let me change this to, same idea. There you go, turn your nose a little bit towards that light. She likes to favor her left side. There you go. So yes, it's a lot cooler, but if you look at where the nose, see how the cross lighting comes across? So another one, you're funny, man. Very cute. So let's just switch it up completely, all right? Let's do it this way. This is what I usually do a lot of the beauty shots, stuff like this. Actually, Joey, this actually, because you do some of the portraits that you were telling me before, this will actually work very well for you. I think a boom will work better. So, Come this way so you can actually see it. Yeah, come this way. Because I want you to apply this as soon as you get home. Take a teddy bear and practice it. There.
Okay, I see.
You see it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you guys can see it on my end. I'm not sure what all these cameras are. So same idea. Bring down my f-stop. She like the beauty shots. I like the shit in between it. Not sure why she's looking up, but it looks cute. There you go, just like that. Shoot it straight on. Let's take a look at it. So it kind of creates a little bit more flatter lighting, which is fine. It depends on the look you're going for. Now look directly at me. There you go, just like that. I personally feel this is too low. Again, we're doing this on the fly. And I usually, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I like to light meter everything because I like to be very accurate. And do I use that? There you go, it's canning. I told you guys. There you go, and it still works. Here we go. So same idea. Take a little step this way. I don't think canning will give me another one if I break another one again. Hold on, just like that. Perfect. So same idea. The only difference is, stay right there. Now she's looking directly at the camera. All right. See the catch light in her eye? See, zoom in nice and close, Joe. There you go. So if you're looking for that kind of look, it might work. But look at her iris. So I would turn on the light. There you go, one. And how do you go the other one? Sorry, you're blind. You said menu. Okay, got it. Sorry. Menu, menu. Okay. So same idea. Watch how the catch light goes down. Here we go, just like that. Ready, one. Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Same idea. So now now you get to see more of her. So the thing is, realistically, I think it's personally too high, the bottom light. So let's adjust it real quick. It's also because of her distance and also her height plays a very big role. Hold on, just like that, perfect. We're gonna lower your chin just there. And I want you to look at my nice pretty hair. There you go, just like that. Soft little smile, breathe out with your mouth, say yes. It's a great look from Kentucky. Kentucky, all right. So you see how where the catch light now is a little nicer? So I kind of look for stuff like that. Again, it's all personal taste. People on social media, I don't know, everyone has a different style, different look. For me, I'm just doing this on the fly. I really want to get to know who I'm photographing. Realistically, it's a look, it's a style. So guys, thank you so much for your time. I hope someone took one or two things, applied to your workflow. Oh, you have a question? What's your question? A ring light. Actually, I do once in a blue, but usually my ring light is not. It's not my dominant light source. It's usually kind of like it's an accent, or meaning like it's underexposed in it by about 2 stops, because it just gives a cool, different kind of specular highlight on the skin, on the face, on the product. So that's not my dominant light source. Yes, can you shoot the ring flash main dominant light source? You can, but I want you to try it. Do your typical ring flash shot, then do 2 stops under it, and you're gonna see a completely different look with your accent lights. It looks beautiful. All right, but that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Thank Westcott for having me here today. Thank you guys for listening. Apply 1 or 2 things to your workflow, and that's it. Build the relationships, guys. Here we go.